Hello, it's Charles Fockaert, September 21st, 2018. This is the vernal equinox, or the autumn equinox. I'm in a little town in the middle of Idaho, Chalice. It's a beautiful little area here. This would be a nice little town to live in. I met a couple of the people last night, and I went out for dinner. Yeah, I like these little towns. But anyway, I'm sitting in the parking lot of a thrift store right across the street from the public library, and I'm piggybacked onto the Wi-Fi. And I forgot to mention something in the previous video, which was on the road with Charles Fockaert number 50. And so I wanted to do this video here, and I wanted to show you that I've made some calls in the past, and I was correct. Now, I don't have anybody I don't have a Greg Howard or whatever his name is call me up and say, hey, I want to interview you, Charles. But he's got all these other people that, and there's a lot of good people on there, and I learn a lot of things from the people he interviewed, but a lot of times they're wrong. And people ignore the fact that they're wrong in the past. So I just wanted to show you this clip on the trade war that I mentioned here in January of 2018. What is that? 7, 8, 9 months ago now. And we're in a trade war now with China, and in a way also with Russia. You know, we always got to have enemies, and I'm going to play that clip for you now. And it's not very long, so let's go have a look at that, shall we? Hello, it's Charles Fockaert on January 26th, 2018. I welcome all of you. Thank you for a home. Okay, so that's just one example of what's happening now. There's a trade war coming on. And anyway, I don't want to get too far into the economics. I could, because I do stay abreast on the major overall picture. I remember once Henry Ford was in court, and they were. So we're in a trade war. We're increasing tariffs. This is economic war, folks, and China's going to retaliate. And they've already said if the United States implements their new round of tariffs, and then China's going to retaliate with $75 billion worth of tariffs. So what's going to happen here is that China makes almost everything that we use. You can't buy hardly anything that's not made in China. If it's not made in China, it's made in Japan or other countries. So this idea that we're going to punish China because we transferred all of our technology over the Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgans and all the white shoe boys there on Wall Street and put the triple parentheses around them. Henry Kissinger, in his secret meeting in 1971 with China, was the beginning of the transfer of our technology worth trillions and hundreds of years. To develop our technology, we transferred all that technology over to China for free. I don't see Trump blaming Henry Kissinger and the white shoe boys on Wall Street for what they did. That was treason. We transferred our technology to China for free, and now they produce and we don't. We're dependent on almost everything we buy comes from China or outside of this country. And now Trump's trying to reverse this, or so he says. Excuse me. And we're not getting our manufacturing back. It's not coming back because we've allowed the lower labor. Labor is the biggest cost in anything that you produce. It's the labor. That's economic 101. It's the amount of labor in producing the gold, to get the gold out of the ground, that makes gold so valuable. And you can only produce more gold and more silver by labor. They can print the fiat currencies. Doesn't take any labor at all to print money. Costs 3 cents to print a $100 bill. So 97%, 97 cents, or $97. Sorry, 99.7% of that 3-cent dollar bill. It may be a little more now. Maybe it costs a nickel now to print all that money up, folks. The Esau Edomites, they're able to produce purchasing power without having to work for it, and we Caucasians have let them do it for over 100 years. And people criticize me for when I say the Americans are stupid. But hey, you go to work, you put in your time and your money and your labor, and you produce a real good and service, and we allow the Esau Edomites to produce purchasing power out of thin air, which is now coming to zero because they inflate the currency to where it becomes worthless, and we're getting to that point now. We've already lost, what, 96%, 97% of the value of a dollar since 1913. Anyway, Trump's going to blame the collapse that's coming to the United States. He's going to be able to blame it on China and Russia. They're trying to find another scapegoat out there, and the Americans are so naive. I talked to a lot of people on the road. I met a guy up there on the hill, and we got to talk a little bit, and most people are friggin' clueless, absolutely clueless as to what's going on, and it's going to be one heck of a shock when it finally happens. 4 years ago or more, maybe 3-4 years ago now, I quit Facebook, and I did a video out there. You can go find it, do a search. I said now is now the time to short Facebook, and you could have done that with put options. You sell high and you buy it back later low. And if you would have done that, you could have made some money, and I explained how to do that. And I think it's time now to short Amazon. All of these fake assets, Amazon, Google, YouTube, especially Amazon, I think it's time to short Amazon. You could do the same thing. You could buy a put option because their price to earnings ratio is way out of line. The whole Wall Street thing, the whole stock market, the paper assets thing is way inflated. So, but I don't want to go in too far into that. But the point I want to make here is we're headed into hyperinflation. The inflation is already here. What they're doing is they're packaging now the contents in smaller packages, and they try to hide the fact that the price doesn't go up, but the package content may be going down. And also they're trying to hide it by how they market things. I remember distinctly being able to buy 10 ears of corn for $1. That's 10 cents an ear. Recently, I saw corn for 50 cents each, and a lot of times it's $1 each for a corn. So what is that? 100% increase in corn, and it's probably GMO corn, so it's not as good for you. And so there is inflation coming. And I was in Home Depot the other day in Missoula, and they had a Honda generator, an E2200, for 25% off. And I already have a Honda generator, and I looked at that and I said, man, that's a good price on that. That's the best Honda generator. That's the best generator at that size that you can buy, I believe. And I thought, well, maybe I should buy another one. And now I wish I would have. Now I wish I would have bought that generator and keep it here as a backup, because what happens if I'm somewhere and the poo-poo hits the blades and I can't fix something goes wrong with this generator and I can't fix it, or I want to barter this generator away. See, that's an asset. That's something useful that you can use. And what I'm saying is the price of what's going to be coming into the United States is going to go up and up and up very quickly here in the near future. This trade war with China and Russia and we're picking a fight with everybody who produces what we need. And we're not going to be able to get a lot of stuff that we need. And the price, if we can get it, is going to be much higher. We're going to have to trade more Federal Reserve notes for the same product in the near future. Just like Venezuela, just like Argentina, and just like other parts of the world. What's going on in Turkey, what they call the emerging markets, because they can't print their money like we can. We can pay off our debts by just creating more money out of thin air. The Esau Edomites, they get it first in their hands. They buy the assets while the price is still low, which is what they've been doing with silver. Silver is the most undervalued asset in the history of the world. And we got some men in the Christian Israelite identity are telling us that you can't eat gold and you can't eat silver. Well, you can't eat a bullet and you can't wear food. So I don't understand your point. Silver and gold is money. And silver and gold has always been money for as long as we've recorded history. Genesis chapter 13 verse 2, Abraham was rich in cattle, silver, and gold, and he was mobile. He could move his cattle, pack up his tent, move his cattle and his silver and his gold with him, and move on to another area. Silver and gold is a commodity, and it is something that retains its value. When the suppression of gold and silver prices, when the depressed suppression of the gold and silver on the COMEX through these sales of puts is released, and the rumor is that Goldman Sachs has already backed off. They've removed their put options on silver, which was keeping the price of a real asset down on the paper COMEX controlled by the triple parentheses, and they've accumulated millions of ounces. They're going to make the Hunt brothers look like they were in kindergarten. And the point is, we're running into an inflationary period of time. So my suggestion is, if there's something out there that you need or you think you're going to want in the future and you've got the funds to buy it now, go buy it now. Because it's not going to get any less expensive than it is now. If you need that generator, go get it. You need some food. You need to put away some food. You don't have enough for the hard times that are coming. Go out and go get it now. Somebody asked me how much silver and gold should a family have, and I would suggest as much as you can afford, despite the other advice you're getting from the scholars. Like I've said a lot of times, people can be really good in one area. They could be good in surgery or oral surgeon, or I don't want to pick on anybody in particular here, but they can be really stupid in something else. And personally, I'm a practical guy. I'm a practical guy, on the ground, survival type person. Keep my expenses as low as possible. Not necessarily from choice of mine, but here's where I am and this is what I do. I really have to do this to survive. So, and I want to tell you one more thing before we go. I was taking economics in 1970s, and I did graduate. I got my degree, blah, blah, blah. I had to unlearn what I think I knew. But I remember I was running a handyman business at the time, and I was buying tools. I started from scratch. I didn't have anything, no family help. Nobody said, here's a couple $1,000, go buy. I had to buy little by little. I had 2 children, 2 young children. And it was inflationary period of time to the run up when the Hunt brothers tried to capture or corner the silver market, and inflation was picking up because of the Vietnam War and the Great Society. We were printing money. It came off the silver coins were no longer minted. 1965, I believe it was. We went off the gold standard August 1971. So here we are, 76, 77, 78, in that period of time, 79. Inflation's going up. And I remember thinking to myself, well, I need this tool. And I've got money now. I got this fiat currency. So I'm going to go buy that tool now because I know I'm going to need it in the future. And it's an asset. A tool is an asset. And that's everybody else's thinking at the same time. So prices were going up and up and up, and then they hammered it. It was Paul Volcker put the interest rate at 21%, folks. It's what is it now? 1%, almost zero when it's a negative interest rate when you factor in inflation. Inflation is much, much higher than they want you to think, and we're in the pre-hyperinflation stage. So I would suggest if you need something, go buy it now. Get rid of your fiat currency. I asked myself the other day, I needed a pump, a backup pump. I don't want to be out in the middle of nowhere and my pump goes out. And I think it's a pretty old pump. Sure looks it. And so I went out and I said, do I want this $80 in my hand, fiat currency, or do I want this pump? So it was easy for me to buy the pump. Now I have a pump. Something goes wrong, I don't have to go run around try to find a pump, and I won't have to pay more money than I did now. If you need something, you have the money, I would suggest you go buy it. It's not money, it's fiat currency. And if you need, or if you don't have real money, silver and gold, I would suggest you acquire some. Because with silver and gold, you're going to be able to buy the things in the future that you need. People are not going to accept the pile of fiat currency for you to buy a chicken. You walk in there with an old 1965, pre-1965 quarter, my guess is you'll be able to buy that chicken. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. I want to thank you for watching this video. Beautiful, awesome day here in the middle of Idaho. The RV is running great so far. No, I had to retard the timing a little bit because it was pinging. Drinking orange juice, apple cider vinegar, cayenne pepper, and ginger, and it wants to come back up. So that's why excuse me for that. But what was I saying? Beautiful day here in Idaho, small town of Chalice, Idaho, headed south. And I'm just trying to enjoy, trying to relax while I drive. I got that, you know, you fall off a horse, you got to get back on it right away. I'm still skittish. Because I didn't realize how much of an effect that trip last year I took had on me. I'm just expecting something to go wrong, and I'm praying that the Lord would help me overcome that, because I need to relax while I'm on the road. Anyway, I covet your prayers. I pray for you. I won't mention the names now, but I pray for you often. And may the grace of God, our Father Yahweh, be with us all, because we're headed into some very tough times. In fact, we're already there. Our race is under attack, and a lot of white people don't get it yet. So may His grace be upon us all. See ya.
Audio Jungle.